Hello everyone, welcome back to the Great Edge Workshop. Honing is a topic tonight, something that is largely overlooked in the world of sharpening. I mean, we all hone, not to say that people are skipping that step, but when we're talking about sharpening, when you're watching videos about sharpening, even videos on this channel, most of the attention gets paid to the grinding size. That is the different grits and the different materials, whether we're talking about, in the case of Tormek, SJ250 or CBN wheels or diamond wheels, etc., etc., etc. But in terms of pure sharpness, and also particularly in terms of longevity of sharpness, honing is where we need to spend the majority of our time and the majority of our attention. All the way through the grinding process, we are removing metal, of course, and gradually as we go through the process, we're removing finer and finer bits of metal. But even at the end of a sharpening where you've gone to 1,000 grit stone or 1,200 grit stone on the Tormek, what you have at the apex is still, something with a fair bit of disorganized metal. You have little bits of metal hanging off the apex that need to be cleaned up. Now, that's still a very sharp edge, and if you were to go straight from your 1,000 grit stone or 1,200 grit onto a best tester, you would get a pretty good score. The problem is all that disorganized metal at the apex. As soon as you start cutting with that, as soon as that hits a cutting board or starts working through any sort of material other than the filament of a best tester, it's going to start folding over, and it doesn't take you long until you end up with a rounded over edge that's not performing very well for you. So honing is the process where we clean all that metal up so that you end up with a nice, sharp, clean point at the apex of your knife. And not only is that going to give you a sharper result, but more importantly, a longer lasting sharpness as well. I have two sharpening systems that I primarily use in my workshop. Tormek features a lot. It's probably my preferred system, although a close second would be the WorkSharp Ken Onion Elite, another powered controlled angled system where you can set exactly your angle, and both of them have honing capabilities. I'll talk about the honing capabilities of both of them, but really Tormek, when it comes to grinding, it can almost be a coin flip depending on what you're trying to accomplish, which one I prefer. But honing, for me, Tormek is the star. Principally for me, because I like my controlled angle sharpening, controlled angle honing, I'm using the frontal vertical base. I'm gonna do some filming from the side angle here, so you can see a bit of a better view of that. It creates a rest for the knife jig that allows you to set up your honing at a very, very precise angle. I'm on the leather wheel at the moment. I'd already set this up. I know this is one of my trial knives that gets kicked around the workshop and used for all my tests and experiments. We're set up to be able to hone at 15 degrees, and I've got a nice, reliable way to be honing at exactly the edge angle and cleaning the edge up really nicely. This isn't actually a knife that I've sharpened tonight, so I'm not worried about honing it for ultimate performance. Just for demonstration purposes. The other way to hone on Tormek is of course freehand. If I move the FVB out of the way, and you'll be able to see this better from the side angle, but I can take the knife off the jig now. When you're freehand honing, you still want to try to be at approximately the edge angle, and there's two ways so that you can know that you're at the edge angle, and they appear sort of simultaneously. One is there's a bit of a sound change. If you're able to hear that, it suddenly goes quiet, or quieter. So it's quite a grinding sound. And so what I'm doing is I'm tilting the knife up this way. As I raise the angle up, then suddenly the stone starts to go more, or the sound starts to go more quiet. The other thing, and I learned this actually from watching Findon Knife Sharpening channel. Really good observation that as you raise the angle up, suddenly it's as it goes quiet, it also starts to bite a little bit. I'm exaggerating now. This is me moving it, but you'll start to feel that the knife is sort of grabbing a bit, and that's because you've got the maximum surface area, which is the full bevel, pushing into the leather stone, and it gets more friction, and it wants to pull away from you. So to know that you're on the right spot, you want to start, well, this is my way of doing it, of course. Lots of options out there, but I start at less than the angle that I'm aiming for, and I tilt the knife upward until it starts to go quiet, until I start to feel that bite, and then I move across. And I tend to find as I'm bringing the knife across, I'm feathering it a little bit to try and make sure I stay right on the correct angle. So that's that. And then coming back the other way, same thing. Start at a shallower angle, increase until I start to feel the bite and the sound change, and then dragging it across. And I'll go back and forth like that until I found that I've cleaned up the burr and cleaned up the apex on both sides. I have talked in the video that I made not that long ago about burr formation. I talked about how, you know, feel for the burr on one side, and it should be like it's curled over, or you don't feel the burr on the opposite side. Honing it gives you the feeling that I'm looking for is almost like what you get on the back side of the burr. So the edge actually feels sort of smooth and round. You don't feel any grippiness on either side, and that's how that I know that I've gone far enough. Not that I'm trying to round the edge over, just that it has that sort of smooth feeling when you've completely cleaned off the burr on both sides. Now the get going again. Lost my train of thought there for a second. There is an exception to that, which is you don't always have that rounded feeling when you're working with a very fine edge. So when you've got a knife that's sharpened to 14 or 15 degrees, sometimes the apex is so fine that you actually feel the apex as you rub your fingers across this way and as you rub them across that way. But if it's even and if it's fine, I know that I've gone just about as far as I can with the honing. But I would just go back and forth here, and sorry, I'm being a little bit sloppy here around the heel of the knife, because again, this isn't a knife that I'm actually trying to get sharp tonight. I just brought it out for demonstration purposes. But normally 3 to 5 passes, and one of the things that's different with honing than grinding is that you don't have to be worried about applying too much pressure, so you can really lean into this. And when I'm freehand honing, my preference is for the leather wheel, for partly that reason, is I feel, you know, even if it's just in my mind, I don't know, but it feels like there's a bit of give there, and I can really work in and massage it around so that I'm just on the spot that I want to achieve. I do also use the composite wheel for honing. So this is the Tormex solution that doesn't require any honing compound. I do wet it. I know when you talk to or watch the Tormex videos, they say it doesn't actually matter whether you wet it or not. I get a little bit more control. I just prefer it to have a little bit of moisture on there. So when I'm honing, I'll just have a cup of water, and just with my fingers I'll splash a bit on as I'm going. I haven't found big differences between honing with the composite wheel and honing with the leather wheel in terms of ultimate sharpness achieved. Excuse me. But I tend to, because with the leather wheel there's that give, there's a little bit more of a manual feeling than by hand. When I'm honing freehand, I tend to go for the leather wheel. When I'm doing my fixed angle or controlled angle honing with the FBB, then it's a composite wheel for me. So both of these, the composite wheel and the leather wheel, get a fair bit of work for me when it comes to honing. Work sharp. I will be honest. So when I got it, I got the full set of grits from extra coarse up to extra fine, and then I also got the 2 stropping belts. One you can put the red compound, one you can put the green compound on. I've never really found much success with honing with the work sharp. I mean, it works and you get pretty good results, but in terms of ultimate sharpness and particularly the longevity of the sharpness, I've just not found the magic touch with the work sharp. So honing for me is something that I always do on the Tormek, even if I'm grinding on the work sharp. and I've got a video coming up soon on a sort of fusion protocol that I do where I combine sharpening with the work sharp and the Tormek, that a few of you might find interesting. But honing wise, and I don't know whether it's the speed that the belt's turning, or the materials that are available. I don't know, to be honest, because I have both, because I have something that I really like in the Tormek, I just tend to gravitate to this, and I haven't really dug into it very much. But I would be grateful to hear from any of you that have experience with honing with the work sharp, and good experiences, maybe protocols that you'd be willing to share. I would love to hear that, because basically once my apex is set, the work sharp goes away. I don't tend to use it beyond then. So even my extra fine grinding belts hardly get any use. At the end of the honing process, next step for me is to clean the edges off. So I mean, literally clean them up. So with a paper towel, or sometimes with a bit of isopropanol if there's any compound on the steel, and then over to my hanging strop. That's something for another video, the hanging strop. But I think that's a essential finishing component. So all of the sharpening that I do has three main parts: grinding, of course, honing that we've just talked about, and then finishing with the hanging strop. And I think that's all that's happening with the hanging strop, is just the last bits because the honing can't quite clean off the final paper thin. Well, paper thin is a silly point. It's far thinner than a sheet of paper, but those final bits of overhanging metal on the apex, the hanging strop seems to clean that up beautifully. So I always finish with the hanging strop. It's not the same as honing, and there will be people far cleverer than I that can jump in and explain the difference. But you can't go straight from grinding to a hanging strop and get the same result as if you grind, hone, and then strop. So three essential parts. Good. I hope you found this useful. Again, it's highly overlooked or under discussed. I don't know what the best way to describe it. Part of the sharpening process. But honing is where make or break in terms of ultimate sharpness. So if you want to be going below 100 best, if that's important to you, then then honing is a great place to just spend more time. Equally, and I think in terms of commercial sharpening, or sharpening for customers, if you want to be giving them a long-lasting edge, then honing is a great place to spend some time. So I suppose from in the modern days when electronics that we buy seem to last a day past the end of the warranty and then self-implode, maybe you don't want to be giving long-lasting edges to your customers, so they keep coming back to you. But I think if you want to keep them happy and in the long term to keep them coming back to you, then a long-lasting edge is something to be desired, and therefore honing is an important part of the process. Good. If you've made it this far, thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for tuning in. Please do hit the thumbs up button if you've enjoyed this video, if you found it useful. It helps the channel to grow. One of my pet peeves on YouTube is people asking for a like right at the start of the video. I always think, hang on, how do I know if I actually like it or not? So I'm asking you at the end, so that you, with the complete, having watched the complete video, you can decide for yourself whether it's worth the thumbs up. But if you do think it is, it's a quick, less than a second worth of a gesture for you, that would mean a lot for the channel. So thanks very much, and see you again soon. Bye.